Welcome to another episode of Challenging the Norm, his and hers look at life and business with your hosts, Paul Snell and Lindsey Burden, the podcast for solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and owners of small and medium-sized businesses who want to experience success in their way and without burning out. The podcast that questions the norm, discusses the topics that matter, and reality checks the latest trends, shares the good, the bad, and the ugly of our own business journey. I work with small business owners, and I work in the area of three key aspects of business. I work mindset, business, and self-care. My objective is to make business success way less stressful. And while Lindsey offers business coaching...
That's not easy to say, is it?
We're going to carry on anyway.
I think we should.
While Lindsey offers business coaching and empowers ambitious women to create financial abundance and a time-rich lifestyle without sacrificing their joy. And I have to say, Lindsey, I'm sacrificing lots of joy right now.
Well, today's episode is super exciting for several reasons, and I have a big grin on my face. So today we want to talk about the importance of stepping out of your comfort zone and the benefits. And of course, today we are not only creating an audio podcast, we're doing our none of us can speak, first video podcast, and this is taking you way out of your comfort zone. And the reason we are in such a good mood isn't because the day we are recording this is a Friday, it's because this is actually take two. So we're pushing you out of your comfort zone for the second time.
It's a funny thing, Lindsey. It's a funny thing because this lack of comfort on being out of the comfort zone isn't really speaking in front of people. I actually love that. It's the fact that it's being recorded and the idea that somebody's going to watch this or I'm going to have to watch this fills me full of dread. But you know what? Round two, I'm already feeling so much better.
It is, but you hit the nail on the head. You do it the first time and it feels really, really uncomfortable and really, really hard and it's really, really scary. You do it the next time, a little less scary. So here we are, round two, less scary.
It's way less scary and actually quite comical because, you know, for anyone who's done this sort of thing before, anyone who does recording a video, it rarely goes completely to plan. In fact, we were saying in the preamble, Lindsey, that we thought we may have to publish some of the outtakes of our video podcast at some point in the future, because that's just life. Things happen, right?
I think there's something important to realize as well, that, you know, this is our first podcast and we're learning as we go. And that in itself is pushing us out of our comfort zone. And it's okay to have fun with things, and it's okay to try things, and it's okay for it not to go right, for your words not to come out, to get your words all muddled up. And that's part of that journey, isn't it? Of learning actually to push yourself out of your comfort zone. But there is a reason, of course, we need to do it in our business and in our lives. But in our businesses, we need to be doing it because otherwise we'll just keep doing the same thing and hoping for a different result, which, as we know, is sanity.
Indeed.
Or insanity, not sanity. It's insanity. See, this is not going well at all.
I will cope, Lindsey. We know what we mean anyway.
We do.
And it's a very fair point. From a physiological perspective, you know, if we go back hundreds of thousands of years, probably around the time my mum was born, that we really had an objective as a species to survive. So everything was wired towards how comfortable could we be. If we've got enough food, if we've got enough warmth, if we're safe, we're comfortable. And evolution's not a quick process. So we still carry that today. The challenge is the minute we step outside of our comfort zone, the minute we step outside of being comfortable, that's when the trigger, is the stress response kicks in. And that's when all of a sudden the body's going, right, there's a problem, you're not happy with this, let's run, let's fight, let's freeze, whatever the one you want to pick. But the reality is it's and we hear this all the time, when you're out of the comfort zone, that's where the magic happens. And in fact, research tells us that just being 4%, by the way, I don't know how you measure 4% out of your comfort zone, but just 4% out of your comfort zone is enough to trigger what we would call good stress or eustress.
We like that.
That drives productivity, creativity. If you catch it early enough, you don't allow it to become chronic stress, because that's the problem long term.
Yeah.
But just being outside of your comfort zone really supercharges what you do and how you do it, but particularly how you think.
Mm. It's so true. And I always talk about the comfort zone as being really, really uncomfortable, because the comfort zone is, it's that spiky place where actually nothing's going quite right. We're not achieving the goals. We're not bringing in the income. Nothing's quite working. So from a business sense, I would say the comfort zone is really, really uncomfortable. It's not a great place to be, but it does take a certain person or a certain mindset. And it's something that I think you have to learn and you have to practice in stepping outside of that comfort zone. And it's not easy, and we're not saying that at all. And it's much easier with a friend by your side to help you, but it's not easy, is it, to step outside of your comfort zone?
It's not. And quite often when we hear the words out of our comfort zone, the immediate impression is, oh, big steps, huge things, massive things. And it's that is often the biggest trigger that exacerbates this feeling of anxiety and not wanting to do that. and I have to say, in both my experience and my understanding of how we respond, the single best approach for getting out of your comfort zone is to do that in small steps. And I'm going to give you an example, Lindsey, and you know this, but I'll tell everyone else because it's not really a secret, but it is between you and me. And that is, I've got a goal. I've got a goal to play a professional piano gig in a jazz bar on my 60th birthday. Now, without giving away my age, that's just over 4 years. And I will tell you that learning to play the piano, because I've never played before, the last few years I've tinkered with it, but it needs focus now. I really struggle, for piano playing. Your hands need to work independently. Mine don't do that right now. They refuse point blank. But what I'm aware of, the point I'm going to make here is I'm 4 years away from doing that gig, and I will do that gig. And the reason I picked a relatively long time to do this is because it's going to take small steps. I need to become familiar with being outside the comfort zone. And that's really the clue here. I think it's really difficult to be comfortable being outside your comfort zone. That gives a connotation that, oh, well, eventually you'll just get used to it. You need to be familiar with it. You need to be familiar with what it feels like, the challenges you might face when you're in it. The more familiar you become, the easier it will become to do the small steps by going out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. And it is those small steps, isn't it? I mean, I'm sure we've mentioned it in past episodes that when we break things down and when we take the first step, that creates momentum, that creates excitement, that creates motivation to take the following step. And quite often it's what we fear, and it is the fears that we've created, most likely based on anything but actual fact. And so we're really scared of doing it, and then you do something and you go, well, actually that was much easier than I thought. And that's what creates the motivation, because then you feel, okay, well, now I'm ready for the next step. And you mentioned that we have to get comfortable with it. And I worked with an incredible business coach, and she talked about, as you move to the next level of you or your business, it's like trying on an outfit that you haven't had before, something new. Maybe you've bought something for a wedding, and the first time you put it on, you kind of feel a bit awkward. But you wear it again and it feels a bit more comfortable, and you get used to it. And you have to get used to that new set of clothes, that new thing that you're putting on. And that's what being in the comfort zone or moving out of the comfort zone is about, isn't it? It's about getting used to it. And of course, the more you do it, the braver you will become. But I have to say, when we recorded the first version and we talked about you and your piano playing, for some reason I thought maybe you'd tinkered on a piano when you were a child. So you've got nothing.
No. In the last couple of years, I've had a few lessons, not many, very basic, rudimentary reading of music, but I have a passion for jazz. So, and in my head, and I have no idea if this resonates, in my head, I just need to get over this abstract fear that I will never be able to get my hands to work properly. And then it gets compounded because I go, well, I've got big fingers. So that's got to make a problem, hasn't it? So I even begin to give excuses of why I shouldn't get out of the comfort zone. It really is that insidious when it comes to a mindset. It really is.
And it's quite interesting because you said that, my hands don't work together today. You're telling your body what it can't do.
Yes.
So just decide that your hands flow beautifully over the keys, that they work independently like they're on fire, because otherwise we talk ourselves into failure. And I think, I know that can happen when we say, okay, we're going to do this, and it's going to be pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, whether it's video, blog writing, sales calls, whatever it might be. We tell ourselves we're rubbish at it, it never works, So we talk ourselves into failure.
We do, and it then becomes acceptable. So then we don't need to go out of our comfort zone. Yeah. And I think you just highlighted, in my experience, one of the biggest areas of anxiety when it comes to getting out of comfort zone as a business owner, and particularly as a solopreneur. As a solopreneur, you're up for everything, right? It's your responsibility for the lot. And so sales calls are always in the top 3 issues that make people drastically uncomfortable. And you're right, Lindsay, because then your mindset goes, well, they're not going to say yes anyway, are they? And they're not the sort of client I want, will they? And so this idea, and I think this is a really important point, being out of a comfort zone is often simply seen as a black and white thing that goes, I feel anxious. Simple as that. What it is, though, and it is much more, is that it becomes something we very effectively negotiate with ourselves on to avoid. And I think that's a big thing. You described my words around hands not working together. We are subconsciously deciding that that's not an option. What's the point of getting out of our comfort zone when it cannot possibly benefit us? And yet, almost every aspect of life, you see growth when you do that.